Hello and welcome to Newsworthy Stories with Jacqueline Jimenez. I have a great show for you today. If you follow me on Facebook or LinkedIn, then you know a little bit about Carter Bonas of Spectrum Golf. He started his own line of golf apparel at the age of 10. And what he's doing with the way he learned how to play, why he is getting all the attention, we're going to talk with someone very special, and that is his coach, Coach Corey Henry. He is also the general manager of the Country Club of Coral Springs. Corey, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I am so looking forward to having this conversation with you because so many times we've talked about Carter and his golf apparel, the fact that he's autistic, and it's just unique in that alone. But also we've talked about what led up to it. His the mental health services that helped him get the confidence. But there was something else that gave him confidence, and that was playing golf. And I want to talk to you because you hang out with Corey. Not Corey. You hang out with Carter all the time.
Yeah.
So tell me about that relationship and what it was like when you first met him compared to what he's like now.
Well, yeah, it's totally different now. I think we're going on almost it's got to be close to almost 2 years now. But yeah, when I first met Carter and his mom, Dr. Tenney, um, obviously Carter was quiet. He was a lot smaller too. He's hit a big growth spurt in like the last 6 months, which is nice to see. But once you get into Carter's world, um, he's just a regular person, awesome person, outgoing, funny, smart, incredibly smart. Um, and he's just a fun kid to be around.
And I concur on all those things because I have, I met Dr. Tenney first. She first was telling me about the Healing Arts Institute, and that's actually the first time I met Carter as well. But I met her first, and he is so smart. If I'm talking to him, unless you told me he had autism, I wouldn't know it.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree. You'd almost not know, but when you're really kind of in his world, you see, um, the difficult, um, I guess what's the word I'm looking for? The hardships that he goes through for what he has. But thankfully through his mom and her connections and her program and everything, he got diagnosed and started his treatment and therapy super young. So it's impressive for being where he was at when he was such a young age and diagnosed to now. I mean, he's very good at controlling his emotions, especially in the last couple years that I've known him and what I've seen. And obviously, yes, I'm with Carter, you know, at least an hour a day, probably 5 days a week. So, it's a pretty close, tight relationship now. Yeah, so I could probably speak to him, almost like a parent. Um, so I know, when he's teetering that line or not. But he's really, it's really impressive to see how well he does control himself. Or you could tell when he's just having one of those days, and that's going to be like that forever for him. But the more he just it's just a little bit harder for him. But that's life, and that's what he probably is trying to. That's probably part of his message, that even though he might not look like the um what most people would maybe think of their first image of autism, but that it's still there, and he still has the same a lot of the same hardships, and like everyone knows. And if they don't, one of the main reasons why he started and how it started was he, at a young age, at 9 years old, he literally was, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get a job, mommy, because who's going to hire me?
And
And he
who
says,
thinks
well, if
like
I
that?
just start my own business and hire myself, then I don't have to worry about it, which is, that right there shows you how smart he is, on another level,
Yeah, and I
incredibly
think
smart.
I think it's hard for people to even imagine that this 10-year-old is really thinking like that.
I know.
I think that people think, oh, well, really it's his parents that started it, or you've got that in the back of your mind because you think, well, if he has autism, then how can he think like that? But that's the way Carter thinks. I
Hmm.
mean, every time he says something to me, I just sit there and I'm like, where did that
Yeah.
come
It's
from?
hard for us to process because we're like, "Wow,
He's
let me think what you just, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
he's like, I really think he's like a grown man in a
Hmm.
boy's body. I mean, he really is um a forward thinker. And that's how I describe him everywhere I go. And I think that that is part of the reason why he is getting so much attention. I mean, yes, Ernie L's son, has autism,
Hmm.
but even still, I mean, the time he took with Carter, it was just astounding to me. The way to see them, the two of them walking on the course, and there you are in the picture, right there,
Yeah.
right behind them, at every move. And I think that speaks a lot to also the trust that Dr. Tenney, his mother and father, and Eddie Tenney have with you. I mean, you are definitely a parent to him in every way. But, what does that say to you when you're watching Carter, like all the media attention he's been getting,
I mean, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a little even overwhelming for me. Um, because I'm, who's, unless you're famous, I guess you're not really used to it. Even though I did, see it coming, I kind of knew. I used to tell Dr. Tenney, you know, it's gonna blow up a lot faster than probably I'm even telling you. And she was just, oh, and then boosh. I mean, just m- everyday phone calls now, interviews, this, that, which is, I mean, it's awesome. That's, you know, golf is allowing, I guess Carter to use, their highest platforms to get it out there, which you need to do. I mean, that's the only way to get it out there.
it is. I mean, it is the only way, I have the privilege of helping to get that media attention.
Hmm.
I've when Dr. Tenney asked me, she goes, "Do you think you can help, get some media attention around him being at the PGA show?" And I go, "Hey, let's see. I
Yeah,
like to, I'm a news producer, I tell people all the time, I am not a PR person, but I know exactly what a news producer wants because I was the one always receiving the press releases,
yeah,
in the newsroom. So I said, sure, and so I've done that for my clients. I've always, if I see a news story, and this had all the elements and more. I mean, this
yeah,
has layers upon layers upon layers of stories, from the mental and timely, from the mental health, from the fact of his age and starting his own line, and so many people starting their own businesses. I mean, he is speaking to so many people at the same time. And so I really wanted to talk to you because you have such a great influence on him. And I know that you see things that most people don't see. I mean, this picture here, I mean, look at the confidence in his face. I mean,
yeah.
what do you think about the interviews or the fact that, well, his first interview was like with the Golf Channel on the PGA Show. Most people don't do that. That's usually not their first interview.
Yeah, I mean, his first interview was at the PGA Show, uh, live on the channel. I mean, it was obviously a live interview. It wasn't, I was there in the background. Um, and they didn't, they went right into it. And I thought both Dr. Tenney and Carter crushed it. I mean, I was beyond impressed. And I'll tell you, he'll tell you he was nervous as can be. I don't know what to say. I thought he said all the right things. I thought he was as clear as he could be. And yeah, it was impressive. I mean, 10 minutes later, I'm getting calls and emails, from people watching the Golf Channel, which is millions of homes. And did I just see? Don't you teach him? They said your name in Country Club of Coral Springs. I said, yeah, that's him. And that was it. That was, I think that's really what led it even farther, because that night as the PGA Show was winding down, someone from the PGA Show that Dr. Tenney hadn't even talked to came and found her. And I guess I'm assuming that Ernie Els or someone from his team saw it on the Golf Channel, and they went through their connections and said, go find them and, connect us.
It's been amazing.
Yeah.
It
And
is.
I know that Ernie Els is really excited because, as most know, he's got a very big foundation charity for autism, Els for Autism. And he's also got a autism learning center in Jupiter for children. And
Two
timing's
charter
everything.
schools.
Yep.
Two charter schools. That's amazing.
Timing's everything in life, right? He's actually just Ernie Els is opening a second building for adults, because once, I guess, the age they say is like 19, maybe 20, they give them that extra couple of years. As Ernie said, the buck stops there. Like, that's it. They got to go, they go basically right to the real world. And, a lot of times they're still not ready yet. And, someone's got to, either help them or watch them or take care of them. And so he's starting one for adults that's going to teach them how to survive in society, how to get a job, how to work. And I think the fact that Carter's starting his own business, Ernie he's so excited to have him, so he invited Carter and the Tennies there for their ribbon cutting. And, beyond what Carter's, doing for himself as well, what he's doing is definitely going to change the lives and help out other kids like him, or even regular kids, to say, hey,
I think so.
if I can do it, anyone can do it, right?
Right. And you said something to me a while back, or not too long ago, and it caught me by surprise, because I was surprised to hear that you were like, Carter's my only golfing client. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, why is that?
Because my job here, I have, bigger responsibilities. As the general manager, I don't have lots of time to teach. So, he takes up, that little time that I have to
And
teach.
what made you decide to teach Carter?
So I was the head professional when I met them, when I had a lot more time to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And his mom came to me. I guess one of my assistants was teaching him for, I guess, only a couple months. I didn't even know. And then he left, took a new job. And so Carter needed a new coach. I don't think they wanted to travel to where he went.
I see.
And so she came in and talked to me, and it went from there. Went from 1 day a week to here we are 5 days a week. But
Yeah.
in that time period, Carter was, and I think the reason Dr. Tenney and I have a good relationship is because we both just keep it real. We can handle the truths. Not that that's a bad thing, but there's no faking it. It's just, this is what it is. And I used to tell her, like, he was a straight up beginner still. And, when can he play tournaments? And I used to say, listen, I couldn't, it's at least a year down the road, maybe longer. I don't, I don't know. And it was about a year, maybe not even a year, that I felt confident that Carter can go, not necessarily compete yet, but he'd be comfortable out there, and he can finish the round, and he'd be good. And I'll tell you what, his first tournament ever, 9-hole tournament, he shot, I think, 63 or 64. which not that good, but you know, everyone starts somewhere. Everyone
Hmm.
probably shoots that. And he's probably hasn't even played 10 tournaments since then. And he's already, you know, he just shot his lowest round again yesterday, actually, of 46.
What? Nice.
So
So
um
where do you see Carter in the future?
hopefully I see him playing, going through the different levels of golf, you know, going to the next junior tour, playing high school golf, playing, you know, the top junior tour, maybe, you know, hopefully playing college golf, and then hopefully playing professional golf. You know, if that's what he really wants, I would love to see it. I mean, I'm a golf PGA professional for a reason, because I love golf at the highest level. So um, that's what I would love for him. What I want for him is obviously him to be happy and to do, you know, what he wants. But right now, you know, he says he wants to be a golfer. So to me, I'm like, you know, that's the dream.
That's what he told
I
you.
get to live some of my dream through him potentially, right?
Oh, I think you both are just one. I think you are wonderful for one another just from watching you and how you interact with one another. I really think it's a a team in with Dr. Tenney as well, with the Healing Arts Institute and the no cost mental health services that she offers. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just a beautiful picture um, of competition, of everything that you would want all together. And then it's outside, it's a sport, that he's introducing this sport to so many people as well.
No, you're
And
right.
I
Definitely.
just find that, maybe autism, kids with autism or parents with kids with autism, maybe they never even thought about, well, what about golf?
Yep.
And
No
I love
question.
what Carter said, and, all the sports that he tried, the coaches don't yell at you like I guess they do, in football or basketball. That's part of it. That screaming, yelling is all out of it. I love them all. I love all sports, believe me. And but it made so much sense. I was like, well, yeah, I guess you're right. Now I'm sure there's some tensions on the golf course. I've seen a couple of little, him fighting back. Come on, coach, let me do this or whatever it is. But it's not, it makes sense, that he appreciates what you do and what he has said about you to me on camera. I'll share that sooner or later. um, but he holds you in such a high esteem. I mean, he loves you, period. and
Yep.
um,
Goes both
and
ways.
I
I'm
think
sure, you know,
so.
I'm sure I help him, but you know, I let him know all the time that, you know, he helps me more than, you know, he would ever know, just with everything, with with how I teach, how I maybe view things, how I, you know, father raised my own kids, um,
I have three boys.
with 3 boys. Yep. And yeah, he definitely puts things in perspective to me, and I watch that and I just say, you know, I like to think that I was uh, similar to him, growing up like that, in the terms of he's just a good kid. He's just a good kid. There's not a bad bone in his body. He's just a good kid. You know, it's just that alone is, you know, if my kids turn like that, then I was successful.
Yeah, that
You
is
know.
a lot to say. Now I know, if you want to know more about what Carter's doing, Carter has some speaking engagements out of that's been born out of all this. But you can go to his website, which is Carter's with an S, carterspectrumgolf.com, or you can even go to the Healing Arts of South Florida to learn more about the services that have helped him, and that's healingartssfl.org. Is there anything that we should know about the Country Club of Coral Springs, or anything you want to drop in there?
No, I mean, anyone can. We're semi-private, so you know, anyone that's thinking, you know, that wants to come experience golf or has questions about golf, you know, we're semi-private, so which means that we allow public guests to come out here, and you know, you can come out and check us out at any time. Might even see Carter.
That's true. You might even see Carter because that's where he plays. And I was kind of reluctant. I was like, hey, I'm wearing my
Yeah.
Spectrum Golf apparel today, and one of the reasons why he made it is because his skin is sensitive and it
Yep.
is super soft. So I'll tell you, if you're looking for gear, check it out and try it. But I know that Corey will be talking more again. So I know we can't get it all in this interview, but it has really been a pleasure for me to watch the relationship between the two of you. And I look forward to seeing what's next.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you for joining me for Newsworthy Stories with Jacqueline Jimenez. And we'll see you next week at 12:30.
All right. Take care.
You too.